All right, you're hitting pull-ups. We'll continue.
Yeah, so been hitting more and more pull-ups every time. I'll do them hit pull-ups 3 times a week right now, where I'll just do 5 by AMRAP and just try to get as many as I can and log them. And you can just see that baseline just keep going up and up. And then this is the first time I've pushed uh, lifts since I was really heavy, and it was really easy initially for me to be like, I'm so much weaker than I used to be. But then you start looking at my lifts then, like the ratio or pound for pound, I guess, of what it would be compared to now. And it's like my pound for pound is so much better now than it used to be. And you just have to put it in perspective. And that's been really cool because before a clean and jerk would have had to have been 350 to be what it was today. So that was really dope.
What are you clean jerking now? Damn.
Uh, it would have been 270,
Yeah, it's fucking strong.
275. Yeah. Like
That's
one
only going to
point.
go up. Your strength base is really high.
Yeah. And it's just gnarly form. Like it is not good yet. So I'm just trying to
Just
figure
clean
out.
it up to your chin and then
Yeah.
How did you
But
decide? How did you decide on choosing? We're talking. I'll fill in the audience here. Uh, another episode here, and Dylan, after being down to like 240 and maintaining it really well, figuring out the next goal, which is so important for post-fat loss, is like having a purpose. I was just on the phone with somebody today who's. I'm like, what is the real reason you want to lose the fucking weight? Like behind, like there's deeper reasons, but now you already lost the weight, so it's like, you know, the reason now is the Olympic lift and be strong as hell. Um, where was I going with this? I forget. I've been chatting all day. But either way, um, I think it's exciting
oh,
to
how did I do it? How did I decide to do it?
yeah,
I
how do
think
you
is
yeah,
what
why
you're
do you
gonna.
decide the Olympic lift?
I think it was between that and powerlift. I
Yeah.
didn't really want to do any other form of like strongman doesn't really interest me. Um, Especially because like the most elite strongmen are gigantic and
Yeah.
very, very. I would just have to gain all the way back. Uh, but between powerlifting and Olympic lifting, like I messed my chest up a lot in college. Like I had
Mm.
strained both pecs multiple times,
Benching or
and yeah, bench pressing. Um, and then I had my finger surgery, so going heavy on
mm.
deadlift kind of freaks me out a little bit. Like kind of ripping out my finger again would suck. Um,
Cleaning is like you hook grip and all that shit.
it
That's not
definitely, and I was thinking about that today, but
you'll be
and
fine.
initially that was what I was thinking, and I was like, I think it's a lot cooler, in my opinion. I think that the Olympic movements are cooler than powerlifting movements, and I don't know. I was just like, I was good at power clean when I was in college, and it is way harder than powerlifting to get good at. And I wanted something that is very long term goal oriented, like Olympic lifting is.
Yeah. I was worried you were gonna say high rocks when you were like, I got a new goal. I was like, oh shit, this motherfucker.
No, that's not really in my wheelhouse.
No, I know, but it was just funny. Not actually, I'm worried. I mean, it's I have clients who do high rocks. It's cool. Um,
Yeah.
no, dude, that's exciting. I've thought about doing like competitions and stuff, but more of like bodybuilding, but I can't do freaking natural because I take thyroid hormone. So I'm like, and I don't want
Oh
to,
no.
yeah, I can't do a natural competition, but I'm not gonna like, I don't want to hop on gear
Yeah.
and like do that. So I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's not in my wheelhouse, but
Yeah.
figure something else out. Yeah.
But I'm pumped. I'm excited. I've been weighing out everything that I wanted to do, and this is kind of what I wanted ended up choosing. So I've been
Yeah.
running a tiny program that I just made up, and I follow a ton of dudes on Instagram that do their like you can buy a $30
Yeah. Yeah.
14-week program. So I'm just gonna get one of those and see where it goes and
That's the best way to
compete at
learn.
some point. Yeah, just
I've
trial
bought so many
by
programs.
yeah, and just
Yeah.
baptize myself by fire with just doing a ton of reps and seeing where it takes me. So
Yeah, take videos too. I even
hmm
do that now with lifting. I'm like, let me see what my rack pulls look like or whatever. Um, I think seeing just like in football, seeing the film is like
hmm
seeing yourself lifting, especially if you're gonna compete at this. That's a great idea. Let's fucking
yeah.
go, man. That's hype.
And there was a dude, I don't remember his name, but he played college football for like a year and then he stopped. playing because COVID hit, and then he got into the Olympic lifts, and now he's like a total beast. And I've watched him for forever, and I was like, I'll just do that too.
Yeah, the
So
Olympic lifting, you have to be explosive as hell too. So I mean, you've
yeah,
got a great strength base, so that'll be cool to. Why do you? So you just decide like, but what was the main reason? You were just like, I want to fucking compete at this.
yeah. I trained a ton of power snatch in college.
Mm.
I bought this program from a guy named Will Rattel
Oh yeah, yeah.
on Instagram along like 2023, and there was a bunch of power snatch and complexes in there for power clean and clean and jerk, and I loved it. And kind of got away from it my senior year because I was just messed up, and now I feel a lot better. And it's always been something I like to do. So I would rather do that than power lift. But the issue I've been running into is looking at all the competitions. It's so niche, and so like in Arkansas, it's not really a thing.
Where do you
So
go to compete?
yeah, I would have to go to Texas.
Oh, okay. Well,
Would
that's
be
not
the
too
big
far, is it?
thing. No, but
A couple
it
hours?
would like College Station, which is
Oh,
like 7 or 8.
yeah, it's
Or
farther
I could go to
west.
Kansas, which
Hmm.
is not far, but I would just have to wait and see where the competitions are. The only one I've found so far that would be within my time frame would be South Texas. So
Hmm.
may make a little road trip out of it. May
Good,
go
dude.
watch A&M play.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I don't
Get
know,
down there.
but
Keep me
it is
updated.
nice having goals. You got to have goals outside
Um,
of work and everything else.
yeah, things just get boring, you know? So many people go to the gym, and that's a good routine, good health wise. Did you feel a point when you got to the gym and you're like, all right, I need to make a goal because like this is
I
getting
was
lame?
so bored going in and doing the same thing, and that's why I asked you for that new program.
Mm.
Because
Like
I'd been
powerlifting.
running
And
the
I'm like, I'm not a
yeah,
powerlifter.
and I'd been running because I've been running that golden ratio program for a long time, like 4 months, I think.
I gotta post that out as like a program for people to buy, honestly.
It's great. It's great, and it's really fun. But uh, I just got an itch to go heavy on something and to like fry my CNS on a compound movement, and so that's why I asked for the powerlifting thing, and then started thinking back to Olympic lifting, and I was like, may as well give this a shot. So yeah. The good thing about it is I could just throw in bench once a week or once every 2 weeks and power lift if I wanted to, whenever.
Yeah, easy. I mean, it'd be, I mean, it's, yeah, there's no rules. It's not like you can't compete at both and see
Yeah.
where it takes you. And there's probably more powerlifting meets, I'd imagine, out there.
Yeah. There's a ton more. I was looking at those too.
Yeah, I feel like powerlifting's pretty big, honestly.
Yeah. It's
I don't,
growing for
yeah,
sure.
I didn't realize it until I had a client who was a powerlifter. And then I just went to a competition and looked into it. I was like, all right. I've always watched it like on the outside because I like the lead FTS and that stuff, but
Mhm.
never dove into it fully. But good, man. Yeah, we'll chat in the future about the the nutrition. But I honestly think getting lean and being fast, and then actually as your technique improves, kind of bulking into the show, and then if we need to do a quick water cut at the end, um, I think would be beneficial,
Yeah. I think
especially
that
the,
that would,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Because there's, like I was saying before we started the call, there's a lot of unrealized gains that could happen even while I'm on a cut. It's not like I'm going to lose strength necessarily in those movements like I would if I was squatting. Um, so that's not really an issue at all.
Yeah, and right now, I think so many people forget this is naturals, but right now you're only gonna, if you say go from 240 to 233, 234, you're not, and you're gonna be eating a ton of food. You have a high metabolism, and your food's been dialed in. So what's really gonna happen is you're going to just continue to reduce estrogen and improve your testosterone to estrogen ratio. And as you reduce adipose tissue, you're going to have less peripheral estrogen created. So you're going to have less estrogen. And hopefully, after this mini cut, 5 to 10 pounds, you'll have just a better testosterone ratio, higher free testosterone. And if you have that, then the leaner you get, if you get to 8 to 12% body fat, maybe you're 15 now, you're going to only gain more muscle in the future. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea is really before you bulk is get fucking diced and then you can kind of bulk into it because you're going to gain the likelihood of gaining muscle is much higher.
Yeah, that was something that I saw John Heck talk about was the best way to bulk and gain muscle is to get shredded first.
Yeah, it's all about your testosterone.
And yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about that. It kind of, I didn't write it down, but it was something I was thinking about is why that is compared to getting to where I'm at 240 and then say, get up to 250 and then cut back down as opposed to get to 240, stay at 240 and then go back down.
Yeah,
So,
it's all about the testosterone ratio. Like if you whenever you go above 12%, now you immediately you're not in your optimal really window. Now some people would argue 10 to 20% for naturals is your optimal window for testosterone, but you wouldn't be going you wouldn't be losing weight in a deprivation, right? If somebody's losing weight and trying to get to 8 12% body fat, but they're doing it by super low calorie fasting, high stress, well then their testosterone will come down. But if you cut in a way that is you're eating frequent meals, high carbohydrates, moderate protein, moderate to high protein, maybe in this cut, lower fat, no PUFAs, all that stuff, you're dialed in, then you're going to be able to lose body fat and improve hormones. And then once you improve hormone function, then you can gain and you have higher testosterone, then you have a higher likelihood of putting on said muscle mass. And then you keep that in check, and it's so much dependent for naturals too. Like
mhm.
it just is in the range. Like you can't like guys who are on PEDs can rebound. This is a huge thing. After cuts, they rebound, but they can retain by taking testosterone. It holds a lot of water, where naturally you don't hold as much water. That's why the bodybuilders who are on steroids typically will use diuretics because they hold a lot of water with testosterone, growth hormone and such. You don't have any of that. So for you, it doesn't have to be such drastic cuts. Like you'll see bodybuilders cut fucking 50 pounds for a show,
Mhm.
but the last 15 is water. For you, that's not like you're not holding nearly as much water and you're not going to put on nearly as much water. So it's a little bit less focused on weight as much as hormone function, which is where the body fat percentage comes in. Where the
Yeah.
nice thing is you've cut 60 pounds, 50, 60 pounds, and now you can just cut a little bit more body fat, keep training performance really high, eat really well. Maybe just if you haven't been doing cardio, like fucking adding a little bit of basic ass, like low intensity, steady state, maybe a little fasted cardio, whatever it is. We can talk about that. And go from there.
Yeah. The one thing with the water, retaining water is I find that where I'm at now, where I'm not putting a ton of thought into pulling and cutting,
Hmm.
I get bloated a little bit easier.
Hmm.
How much thought do you put into if you have a client say, I've been getting bloated after dinner, I feel bloated. Is that a big deal in your eyes? As
It's
that's an
yeah,
issue?
that's important feedback. It means your food's not digesting properly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be a multitude of issues for them. It might be too much starch and it's not digesting well. It
Yeah.
might be too much, anti-nutrients from vegetables that aren't cooked well. It could be, somebody could have PUFAs. Somebody could have too big of a dinner because they didn't have frequent meals throughout the day. They might have poor bile production. So if a fatty meal makes them bloated, they need some, digestive bitters, or they need to focus on whatever, using TUDCA or milk thistle, depending on stuff. So that's a huge feedback though. Yeah. And if you're not, taking a basic ass shit, take a walk after your meal to try to digest it. Um, when have you noticed it for you?
It's probably the starches, honestly, now that you say that. Been like I was saying before we started the interview, we've been making a lot of bread.
Hmm.
And that's been one of my main sources. Last week it was potatoes, didn't have as much bloating. Now we're making our own bread, and it's been a little bit more. So maybe that is it. It's not anything crazy either. A walk usually kills it.
Yeah.
That's the best thing of all time is a walk after dinner.
It's
It's a
yeah, it's
game
undefeated.
changer. You get up there
It's
when the sun's
undefeated.
going down. I saw a reel about that, and I was like, exactly. Like
Yeah,
nothing
I
could be more true.
I just posted a story about that a few days ago. I was doing like meditation, grounding, and watching the sunset, and I walked away and I was like stumbling home. I'm like, I'm gonna fall asleep right now.
Yeah.
Um, it's butter. Yeah, so I highly recommend that. But yeah, the starches can. I mean, remember when we first started, we basically did like no starch for you for a minute, for like
I
a
was
month or
just
two.
killing fruit. Yeah.
Yeah, just fruit only and let your digestion
hmm
like recover. And then eventually now you have a ton of starch now. So, and the potato helps you because the potato also uh has potassium and that's going to reduce your insulin. So when you have a spiked insulin, that can kind of disrupt a little bit of digestion for some people.
hmm
And the potassium in the potato offsets that. So it helps. Potassium works similar to insulin as it shuttles glucose to the muscle.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
that can be a benefit when you're doing high
hmm
carb is mixing in some more potassium.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
think I've got three questions that I've been thinking of that I wanted to ask. And one
Sure.
of them was after you work out, say you're training for hypertrophy, and there's a lot of stuff that says there's a window after you work out where it's the best time to eat protein. Do you put a lot of thought into that? Like that post workout window where you can absorb more protein compared to before a workout or whatever?
I mean, I think it just logically makes sense if you degrade your muscles and you use, or you're degrading your muscles so that your muscle tissue, your fiber tissue is being torn apart, and then you're depleting your glycogen in your liver and in your muscles for energy,
Hmm.
which is why you get to burn the lactic acid. You run out of glycogen and then you have to tap into other fuel sources. Then I think it's only logical that you want to refill
Yeah.
with carbs and protein, with amino acids to rebuild that said tissue and carbohydrates to refill your liver glycogen, reduce your stress hormones, and
Hmm.
increase your muscle glycogen. So I think it makes sense. Obviously, it's been hyped up a lot for people because, or it's been hyped up by industries who profit off of you buying supplements. Do you
Yeah.
need a supplement with things? No, I typically 99% of the time I use whole food sources for everything other than intra, which is orange juice or some type of carb powder. But I think, yeah, even just you'll notice your fatigue if you eat after your training within an hour. I think it just you recover better.
Hmm.
So obviously you can delay that if you eat a great big meal before. So if I have, this morning I had whatever, two eggs, a bunch of egg whites, a bunch of oats before training. I had my intra-training shake, which is essential amino acids and clustered dextrin. I'm trying a different shake now. And then whatever, I get home 45 minutes later, I eat my meal right away. And then because I'm eating 6 meals a day. So I think it's generally advised to have some type of protein afterwards. Depends for people. Yeah. Does that make sense? Or
No,
what do
yeah,
you think?
that does. I agree. I I guess for the in the past of or in the past since we've started focused on more on the carbohydrates after a workout
Mhm.
compared to the protein. Uh, but the protein does make sense because you're in such a vulnerable state muscle wise after a workout
It's
that
just
you
logical
need.
to do it.
Yeah.
And I think just I mean, people really overcomplicate nutrition sometimes for hypertrophy because they listen to these doctors like Mike Israetel or other people who think they know what they're talking about, but they have no idea what they're talking about. And they try to disprove proven top level Olympian bodybuilders. They're like, oh, look at Dorian Yates and Jay Cutler. They're silly nutrition. It's like they're the leanest, most muscular people on the planet. I would
Hmm.
listen to them before I listen. Science is always so far behind. Bodybuilding is always ahead of the science. It's always ahead of the science. Right now, it is, it's been ahead of the science for insulin use, steroid use, growth hormone use, peptide use. They've been using peptides, these peptides that are popular. Since I was in high school, I've heard of these peptides. So they've been a thing for a long time. And now they're finally hitting mainstream. So I would look at the bodybuilders. What do they do after training? They eat. And typically, they're not doing protein shakes. If you watch like Road to the Olympia 1998, 1999, a
Hmm.
lot of these guys are just eating straight chicken and rice, or Jay Cutler's eating chicken and oatmeal after training. Like they're just sticking with the basics and maybe
Hmm.
mixing shakes in too. Um, when you have a metabolism that high, you need to eat a shit ton of food. Once you hit whatever over maybe 750, 800 calories per meal, and you have 6 meals, then you might need to spread it out to seven, eight, nine. That's where the shakes come in.
Yeah.
Because whey protein really only is going to last in you for 60 to 90 minutes. So if you're using a whey shake, I think whey is solid, but you need to make sure you have, like, if I finish lifting, say at 10 a.m., I'll start working. Say I finish lifting at 9, then I have a shake at whatever, 9:30. I'd want my next meal, like a real meal at like 10:30. And then
Oh, okay. Yeah.
my normal meal frequency is every 2.5, 3 hours.
Hmm.
Whey shake, I would want quicker. I want
Yeah.
a meal quicker after that.
That's something that I've been thinking about getting into, especially at work, that 3 o'clock hour where I can't whip together uh,
Yeah.
a meal like I would before, hitting a protein shake and some fruit or something.
Yeah, there's nothing
So,
wrong with that. A lot of guys I have who work, who use whey, have a whey shake, and then like I was talking to a guy today, he works in finance, um, in New York City, and it's like he can't just rip out like freaking, with investors at 3 p.m. But he can have a shake or he can put it, just a John Meadows thing. But John Meadows, I don't know if you know of John Meadows, he's
mhm.
popular. Man, if you've never heard of him, he passed away actually, but he was a bodybuilder, great coach. He's got some great hypertrophy training programs on his website, Mountain Dog Training. But he was the owner of Granite Supplements, great dude, a lot of good training info. But he would work corporate banking for a long time. He was from Ohio, And he would have like protein shakes during the day. In his story, he would put it in like Starbucks coffee cups. So then he'd be sipping his coffee. It looked like he was drinking coffee, but it was a protein shake. But yeah, you have like 2 scoops away, and then you can do a piece of fruit, or if you needed to still do like juice, you could do that too, or
Yeah.
dates or raisins or something easy.
That's one thing that's clutch about where I work is there's always fruit. I rip fruit so much during the day. Probably a piece of fruit an hour. I'll just go grab some fruit. It's so nice.
Yeah, man, I think we could lean you up real quick if you just start tracking your food for like 8 weeks.
Hmm.
Like I think you could easily get under 235, and then you can bulk. Then if you have 8 pounds to gain into your competition, then I think it's like
Yeah.
great. And you gain 8 to 10 sarcoplasmic like muscle, a little bit of water fluff, and if you need to cut 2 or 3 pounds of water, I mean, it's butter.
Yeah. I think that that is something that I want to do. The other, I was going to ask you, I was watching a video talking about caloric averages throughout the week, and whether one day you eat 2,000, you're 2,000 a day, and then at the end of the week you pig and go to like 3,200, but your average is still below maintenance. Do you think that that's just as efficient as, say, eating 2,400 a day?
Well, it depends. It depends. You don't just like your body's not a robot.
Hmm.
So if you slept a lot one day, now your metabolism's higher that day. You have more growth hormone, you have more testosterone. Your hormones are different. If you eat more frequently that day, you're gonna have a higher metabolism. If you trained more that day, you burn more calories. If you didn't train and you ate the same amount, you have a higher likelihood of putting on body fat of the day you eat. Say every single day you eat 3,000 calories, but some days you get 3,000 steps, you don't lift. It's an off day. And the other day you train your ass off and you get 10,000 steps.
Yeah,
Well, you have a higher likelihood of putting on body fat that non-trained day. So I think timing your food with what you actually do makes sense. Milo Sarchev, who's a great bodybuilding coach, I learned a lot from him, talks about this. Like every day is different. So to think that you can just eat the same every day, you're like your body's burning differently. So you might be in a surplus one day, you might be in a deficit one day. So why not make sure you're in complete alignment? And if we're
yeah,
gonna have any bit of a surplus in carbohydrates or in food, we want that to be on a training day because that might be surplus in muscle glycogen rather than
yeah.
being stored as a surplus in body fat, which is completely different.
Mm. Do you think the same applies with steps? Like 5,000 steps one day, 15 the next? That was really what I was going to ask is, are you looking when you're working with people who are working on a 10,000 step count, are you looking at a weekly average or a daily?
I'm looking at just them not being fucking lazy.
Yeah,
Like if they can, most people just don't move enough. So, like, if somebody trains their ass off and if they do cardio after lifting and they're relatively active, they're going to lose weight, right? Like, you lost weight and, like, the steps were a big part of it, but, like, you're also training your ass off. You're also eating for a
yeah,
metabolism. Like, I'm not, like, over obsessed about it, but for, like, somebody who I'm, like, begging to train 3 times a week because they usually don't and begging to follow the meal plan and, like, God knows if they're doing core and cardio because not everyone is, like, fucking, some people you gotta, you're bringing
yeah,
them along. They're changing their life from being lazy to trying to be fit. So like steps for them is really important. And it's really a slow increment. Like I've got guys who start with me at 3 or 4 thousand a day and they're like, holy shit. And then eventually they're up at 10 and 10 becomes their average. They're like, oh yeah, I'm at 10. Now I'm shooting for 12. So I think it just depends on the person and their goals.
yeah. That's
Like
true.
if somebody's trying to lose weight, yeah, man, I think higher steps could be important for you. If somebody comes to me and already has like a 4 or 6 pack and is really lean, like MMA fighter, I'm not really worried about their steps.
Yeah,
I've got other like so it really depends on the guys. But guys who are looking to lose body fat, and I don't think it's realistic for them to do fasted cardio or just add stuff to their plate. Steps is an easy, if they're
yeah,
trained 3 times a week and they're eating a non-training day, training the basic diet, we're just trying to implement some basic life habits. Steps is a great first step. I think
yeah,
there's so many other ways to do it, but it's different for like a power lifter, bodybuilder, MMA fighter, high performance athlete than just a general person trying to get lean. Even a committed
yeah. That
person
makes
versus
sense.
like a high
Yeah,
level. For me and you, if we're trying to really if we're doing something like I want to do, for me, example, my motivation, I'm doing a photo shoot in November is the plan. So like I'm doing fasted cardio now. I'm doing, fasted cardio in the morning, then I'm eating my breakfast, then I'm lifting, I'm doing core, sauna. Like I've got a routine and I have a coach who's helping me out because I'm locked in on this shit. But if I'm just trying to maintain weight or hang out, I don't need to like over obsess about hitting my fasted
Yeah.
cardio, doing this, doing this. So it's all goal dependent where the steps go.
Mhm.
Like my parents, they're losing weight, or other people who I'm helping out, or just general Joes, you know, and they lift 2 to 3 times a week. They're just, it's a miracle for them to get in the gym a couple times a week. Step count is huge increase for them. We might
Mhm.
be doubling their activity from before, from 4,000, 8,000 steps, 4,000 to, 10,000. We 2.5 times their activity. That's a
Yeah,
massive impact on their fat loss.
for sure.
Yeah.
Um, when you got into the space of where you're at now, I know
Hmm.
that you've talked about how you went through a lot of different diets, different things to lose weight, and you settled on where you're at now. And I know you're not, dying on any hill. You've talked about that, how you try everything and you're constantly changing. But what made you want to make the switch from where you were at to preaching what you preach about now with dieting? I don't know if we've really ever talked about it. I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah,
interested in that.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is a great question. Um, Health issues, man. I went to the emergency room a few times last year. I was already coaching people, and I was kind of switching from, I had a few. See, it all started. Really, I've always been interested in health and fitness since I was in high school. I had to gain weight back in like 2014, so I started tracking my food back 12 years ago plus. But then after football, I lost weight, did the carnivore, did the keto, did the intermittent fasting, did the OMAD, did all that shit, lost 80 pounds. But my, maintaining weight, that was in 21, maintaining weight even in 23 at 220 and being lean, I was eating 2,000 calories a day, sometimes even less. So my metabolism was low. I didn't know at the time. My testosterone was under 200. My thyroid was messed up. I was getting colonoscopies, endoscopies. I was going to the emergency room for heart issues and really bad chest pains. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. Then I went firefighting. I came back. I was super fatigued. I felt like dog shit. I was super cold all the time. I didn't know what was going on. My doctor was the Bills team doctor at the time. He didn't know what was going on. I got a full body MRI. And then I come to find out I've got a brain tumor, I've got multiple thyroid tumors, I've got lung tumor, kidney tumors, and some other stuff that I'll go into in the future. So I was like, what the fuck? My body is just, we're having some issues here. I get ultrasounds and that's part of why I went to New Mexico was to try to reduce tumor size. Um, but so going through all this, I'm like, at the time in 24, I'm like, what the fuck? So I start going to these functional medicine places. I do these GI maps, these blood work. So I've done every test you can possibly fucking do. Cardiac CT scans, calcium scores to see your plaque in your heart, all that stuff. Came back clean, zero. But I did all these mold parasite detoxes, all this stuff, right? But I never changed my diet. They still had me on low carb, relatively low carb, being 6'3", lean, 230. It was not, they had me these functional medicine places, 2,500 calories training, 2,100 non-training, very low food still. And I was still super cold. I felt fucking sick, super bloated all the time. I mean, fucking literally felt like I was pregnant. I was either having diarrhea and, I was having like kind of a mixture. They couldn't figure out if it was Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. I was having, you know, bloody bowel movements many times a day, or I wouldn't go to the bathroom for 4 or 5 days a week in a row. So eventually, I saw Kate Deering on a podcast with these girls called the Strong Sisters on YouTube, and it was just something about metabolism. So I watched it last summer. This was already after I was helping people, and I was trying to get them to eat a lot because but I was still just learning. People just asked me how to lose weight so many times. I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna help people as a business because I was a nutritionist already, personal training people before, and high school strength coach before. So I knew like the general
Mhm.
knowledge, but I didn't know the metabolism thyroid piece of it. And then I talked to Kate. I started researching it. I emailed her and she was like, you need to stop what you're doing right now. And she had a wait list and I was like, I'll pay you for 6 months fully. Like, just take me on. And I read, I started reading Dr. Ray Peat. He has a great website. I started reading his articles, read an article a day. I took a course for thyroid, like a master class for thyroid. I read all of Dr. Ray Peat's books I could find, all of Kate's books, her old and new one. And then basically listen to every single Ray Peat podcast I could find on
Mhm.
YouTube. I have like 400 saves in a playlist, and I would just listen to them hour upon hour. Dr. Broda Barnes books, all this stuff. So I started learning about Hans Selye, Gilbert Ling, all these people who talk about bioenergetics, metabolism, and it completely blew my mind because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and I was just so sick. I moved to Florida last year in 2025, and I think it was September. And like I loved it. I was doing great. I had cousins down there. They let me stay in one of their open Airbnbs, and it was fantastic. But I had such bad fatigue when I was there, and such bad stomach issues, and such bad chest pain. I was going to go to emergency room. I didn't know what to do. I was sleeping like 16, 18 hours a day. So was super sick. And that's when I started working with Kate. She wanted me to take thyroid because she knew my thyroid was fucked. But I was like, no, I'm good. I don't need to take it. And then I took my got my blood levels tested. I donated blood, did all these things to try to improve it. And then my dad actually had to fly down to Florida and drive me back because I was just
Whoa.
cooked. I couldn't drive. I couldn't, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't train. So then from October of last year until like March of this year, I didn't really train for really much weights,
Hmm.
more than 135 on a bar. So for like 6 months, I took off from heavy weightlifting, took off more than like 2 months of actual lifting. But during that process, starting in like last summer, I started to realize I was missing something. And really from like last year of July until maybe January of this year that was like my deep study period where I did a bunch of courses, read like a million books on it, articles, everything. Every day I was obsessed with it because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I knew I had tumors all over my place, all over my body. And it ended up being because I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is autoimmune disease, and eventually it leads to usually like thyroid cancer or other types of cancers when it gets that bad. It usually doesn't get that bad that quick. But for
Hmm.
me, I think I've had it since I was a young age and I didn't know about it. So once I realized all these issues, and then I realized how it is implicated with fat loss, which I realized kind of quick, I was like, wait a second, I can make all these guys lose fat way faster and way more healthy, and they don't feel like shit like I did.
Yeah.
So that became my mission is just to help people, you know, be healthy and be able
Yeah.
to maintain it. Yeah. Long answer, but that's kind of the
No,
journey
it's
to
good. Yeah. I think a lot of people would wonder that, people who think about working with you, like, does he practice what he preaches or does he really know what he's talking about? So I think it is nice to hear it from where it started to now. And I remember that time because I started working with you at the end of December and you weren't training then. And
yeah.
then I remember
No.
you starting to train in January and February. Uh, the last thing I was going to ask was recovery. Um, do you have any like tricks for recovery? Because I know last week was one of the first weeks. It was the first week that I back squatted in a while, and I was so sore. I was like, man, like I was stretching and nothing was really working. So I was
Back squat
wondering if you
yesterday.
knew of anything like to help with that fatigue or that soreness that you get from going really hard in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, there's plethoras. It depends on what you want to do. Um, I've been getting head back squat superset with leg extensions yesterday, which is wild superset. Running through the gym doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I mean, first and foremost, sleep. I
Hmm.
mean, it's like being a dead horse. Um, but sleeping and waking up with morning wood for men is so important. Such a good indicator of freaking recovery, of having that vitality. Really important for obviously your hormone function, growth hormone, testosterone. So to recover, that's huge. Uh, Intra-training drink. I think that's massive. I think that's massive. I think that's especially with baking soda. Baking soda is huge. I would also recommend probably bag breathing, paper bag before bed. That'll help improve sleep quality, improve CO2, which is an anti-stress hormone. Maybe even baking soda before bed. But definitely intra-training and maybe post-training baking soda, I think would be massive, kind of underrated little things.
What
You
does
can
that
do
do? That baking soda, what does it do for you?
Yeah, the sodium bicarbonate, it increases your CO2. It's going to reduce your lactic acid, and
Okay.
it's going to basically make you less acidic, more alkaline. It's going to kind of level out that blood, which is a lot of people talk about this guy, Dr. Sebi. He used to be a popular person. I think maybe CIA took him out or something, but he was talking about parasites. He was more of a vegetarian vegan, but he was on to a lot of things with alkalinity of blood. I just don't think he realized that, or maybe he did realize, I don't know. There's different schools of thought. I think what he talked about was cool, but ultimately, CO2 is a byproduct of a healthy metabolism. So when you're using carbohydrates for energy, you are becoming more alkaline. People don't realize that. They think, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna," the people. Some people focus on this blood alkalinity, and you're having much more CO2 production from a proper functioning metabolism compared to a fat-driven
Okay.
metabolism. So that's a huge function of energy because CO2 is anti-stress. CO2 is going to reduce the lactic acid. Lactic acid is going to cause issues with your muscles. It's going to reduce your ability to get nutrients to the muscle. It's going to cause more muscle burn. It's also going to lead to possible brain damage and such. So CO2 is extremely important. It'll increase your probability of dreams. Um, so very big. So then
Yeah.
people, NFL teams, I've talked to clients. NFL teams after practices literally have guys inhale CO2 masks because it decreases their inflammation in their brain. So it's supposed to help with CTE. I have my fighters do this after any time they spar or fight. There's other things you can do too, but this would be a first level. Would be the
Hmm.
CO2 via bag breathing. So paper bag around your mouth, breathing in and out for like 60 to 90 seconds. You might even get lightheaded. It's kind of a cool feeling. And then you like chill out and then you sleep like a baby. Um, so those would be good. Does that make sense for CO2?
Yeah, that does.
Okay. Aside from that, I would say understanding fluids. If you're training and doing sauna, rehydrating well, you know, understanding calcium, potassium, magnesium, sodium, all of those things. Dairy, I think, is an underrated source for recovery for people. I think, there's many schools of thought, but I'm a big fan of dairy, especially like before bed. I think that's a great way to get like a casein type protein.
Hmm.
So I would use dairy. I think red light therapy, like I have a red light in my room right now. You can probably tell I can't
Hmm.
glasses, but yeah, that's the only light I have on right now. I would recommend red light therapy in general when I was recovering from my thyroid issues. I'll have to do a video. Maybe we can talk about this in like a future episode about
Yeah.
like kind of the process of it. I haven't broken it down because I don't want to jinx it, I suppose. But I'm healthy
Yeah.
now. I'm feeling good, training my ass off, like 5, 6 days a week. But a big thing was red light therapy. I would do full body, absolute naked, staring at the red light panel, like as many days as I could a week, for like at least 3 to 4 days a week. That's massive. The impact of the red light on your body, the anti-stress, the ability to recover, I think is huge. So I would highly recommend red light therapy for somebody, or just full body sunlight.
Hmm.
Most people just, when you think about it, don't get a lot of full body sunlight. It's a rare thing. Like you got to go to the beach. And guess what? Those days you feel the most relaxed, most chilled out, best. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason people feel great on vacation when they're out in the sun all the time. So if you can find time to do that, be in the sun for
Yeah.
recovery, huge, absolutely huge. Obviously, don't burn like in moderation, but full body. I even think, man, I've tried the ball sunning. I think that shit's real. I think that really helps.
Really?
Yeah, for real. In New Mexico, I had plenty of privacy, so I could do that all the time. Uh, Back in New York, it's a little different for right now. I'll
The
have to
thing,
find some,
yeah, the thing I think
bro. I'm
about that
telling
is
you.
like there's a reason that's where it is so that sun doesn't hit it. That's what I've thought about. And that
Well,
would be what I would worry about would be like direct UV exposure to that would cause like there's a reason it's where it
I've done
is.
direct UV I've done tanning beds as well. Tanning beds in the wintertime if somebody's low thyroid. This was part of my thyroid protocol. Like every 2 or 3 days, I would do tanning bed with red light therapy. I think all that stuff is beneficial, man. And the amount of stuff that's polluted in our atmosphere from chemtrails and other stuff, wildfire smoke right now. I don't even think we're getting all the UV. And most people get skin cancer
Yeah.
eating PUFAs too, or they have these moisturizers. People have been living for thousands of years, and skin
Yeah.
cancer was never a thing. And then all of a sudden, everyone just gets skin cancer. I think even if we're white, I don't think we're meant to just get skin cancer. I think it's such bullshit.
Yeah.
Um, Not to be dogmatic, but it's just silly. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Either way, some other things for recovery. I mean, I've tried glutathione before.
Okay.
I've done a lot of these like low dose naltrexone. People asked about in Kate's episode. People were asking if I've done that before. That's something I've tried too, which is like it's supposed to be like an opiate receptor blocker. Um, I didn't notice anything really major with the low dose naltrexone. That's supposed to help for like autoimmune. Um, the glutathione, I've tried the injections of that. I didn't notice anything too crazy to be honest either. Um, I've tried like black seed oil, black human oil. That's a big
Hmm.
one. I haven't noticed anything crazy with that either. I've tried most of these BPC. I've only tried for nerve injuries. I've tried for the gut, maybe helped a little bit for BPC, but I don't know. I need to do like a full round on my shoulders and then report
Yeah.
back to like really tell. I think, I mean, there's a reason why it's popular, so I think that's a valid one. But you know, recovery aside from that,
Sleep.
sleep. I think semen retention is probably a decent argument for people to, well, I don't know for recovery, but for performance. I think I've looked into that. Shout out Soul Bra like a few months ago. I saw he posted about it and
Yeah,
I
I
was
saw
like,
a post up from his recently about that.
yeah, a few months ago I saw it on YouTube and I was like, huh. And then I just like started looking into it. Um, I've done it and I'm like, all right, this is like I've just been like more fucking dialed in, vigorous.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
people have been asking me like on social media, what the heck's going on? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just dialed in. Um, but I think the retention is probably a big part of that.
Yeah.
Aside from that, grounding. Grounding, man. I forgot about grounding. Grounding's fantastic. I'm going to go on a rant here, but this is like another thing. Grounding's
Yeah.
fantastic for relaxation. And a lot of what recovery is just finding ways to relax, right? A lot of people just don't relax enough in society. Relax, everyone's worried about working hard, training hard, which is all great, eating the right stuff, but you also need time to just freaking chill out, man. Like it's important to just like you're doing tonight, chill out, have dinner with your wife. Like that's a really important part of life. And you earn it through working hard, training hard, providing an income, but like it's important to relax, and grounding's a big part of that. It's really relaxing. If you don't ground and you watch this, highly recommend grounding. I like doing it in the morning when I eat my breakfast. I look at the sun, stare at the sunrise, grounding, and then before bed. I'll do the same thing, walk around and on the grass, super, super chilling. The earth's frequency, it's what we're meant to feel. I just ordered grounding barefoot shoes today, actually. I'm going to get some grounding flip-flops, so then I'll be able to constantly ground. There's another one I was going to mention too, would be meditation. I think
Yeah.
that's a massive one too. Again, getting the chilled out state, getting the relaxation. There's a good app called Medito. There's one app by Sam Harris, I forget the name, but Sam Harris is a weird transhumanist. That's like he's in all this weird stuff. So Medito's nonprofit. That's a good one. I'll use that sometimes, but I think you can just kind of meditate without an app, to be honest. You breathe, focus
Yeah.
on your breathing, and let your thoughts basically pass. So many people identify with their thoughts being themselves, and they stress, they stress, they stress. Again, what happens with high stress? You don't recover. You have stress hormones prevalent. You don't have your recovery hormones. So being able to relax, being able to realize your thoughts are not you. Those are two different things. It's like clouds passing by in the sky, and you watch your thoughts come by, and you're like, oh, it was just a thought. I move on, and it's okay, rather than ruminating on the thought a thousand times over again. So meditation, I think, is powerful. Journaling, reading, all that's extremely powerful.
Yeah,
And then obviously
for
cold
sure.
room, you know the sleep routine. And I think having a routine is huge too. Having a quality routine for
Yes.
recovery, just for life, I think is really beneficial. There's times for novelty, don't get me wrong, but I've probably in the past few years played too much in the novelty and not enough in a routine. And that's something I'm trying to really
Yeah, that's
drill into now.
so big, especially with me working, that 8 to 5, having to have the time to get to the gym in the morning. I, Me and my wife, we set everything out the night before. Our meals are packed, everything's packed, and when we get home, as soon as we get home, do it all again, so you have the rest of the night to not worry about it. And it takes a whole weight off of you that you would have sitting in the back of your mind, like, oh, I gotta get my stuff packed, or in the morning I gotta wake up 10 minutes earlier to pack up. And now you just get to be like, oh, wake up, grab the bag, and go. And
A
it's so
hundred
much
percent.
nicer. Yeah.
100%. And a lot of times people come with excuses why they can't have a routine. They're like, oh, I just or why they're out of routine, right? They're like, oh, well, a lot of times it stems back to going to bed too late,
Hmm.
for a lot of people, because it's like, just they're like, oh, I woke up, I missed my workout, then things just pile up. So it's like, it's figuring out the root causes of why routine's not working, adjusting that,
Hmm.
and then committing to it. But having a quality routine and being able to stick with it provides stability in your life too. Like you have less stress. So again,
Hmm.
you feel better. So those are the main things. It's a lot.
No, for sure. You have to own the day. You can't let the day own you. So.
Man, it's a huge thing, and that's something I've been really internalizing. This is kind of another tangent, but I'm rereading a few books right now. I've ordered a few new ones, but in the meantime, I was like, let me reread some. It's cool rereading ones that really had a big impact on you. And one of them was The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, and
Hmm.
that was one that impacted me a few years ago before I started coaching business, but I always knew I wanted to and do other businesses within this field, which I'll aspire to do in the future. And then there's another book that I'm just, restarting is Extreme Ownership. Jocko Willink, Leif
Jocko,
Babin.
I've read
Yeah,
that
dude.
book. Yeah,
I read that book right before I became a captain for football. So I was like, I need to figure out what the fuck I'm doing here, as a leader.
that's
Not that I
awesome. My
didn't
dad
know.
made me read that book
Yeah,
when I
man,
was in
it's a
high
banger.
school.
Yeah, it's a banger. But he talked about like having ownership of your life and every single thing that happens to you, you need to take ownership of. And I think that's super important for your health. Is you have to take ownership of your health. And I think so many people talk about, being a victim or talk about their
Hmm.
health issues as a victim, right? Hopefully, what I did today when I framed my health issues as thyroid issues, I didn't view myself as a victim. I viewed myself as, look, the medical system is not going to help me. I've tried to go to them for help. I spent 20, $30,000 plus for help, and I got no help. All these scans, all I did was just spend money and buy supplements, buy drugs, and feel no difference. And this is why I'm so adamant, kind of on social media, why I'm so distrustful is because I've been burned. Not even go over
Yeah,
before then other things. I've been put on SSRI since I was a young age and had to detox off of those, forcibly vaccinated. But all these different things led me to feeling a certain type of way. But rather than being a victim and just pretending like, oh, I'm never going to get healthy, no, I was like, I made the decision, no, I'm going to actually learn because nobody's going to teach me this shit. I'm going to learn and figure out how I can actually get healthy. Pay the people who know and who have proven to do this with themselves and other people, which I aspire to be like, so I can help people lose weight or improve their metabolism because I've done it. I walk the walk daily. And then realizing we need to figure out how to get healthy. And and if I have tumors all over my body, well, maybe I should look into more than just thyroid. Maybe why is the air being poisoned? Why is the water being poisoned? Why is our food supply being poisoned? Why are all these plastics, these perfumes? There's many different things. So there's so much to learn, but I'm not viewing myself as a victim. I'd rather let's figure out the root cause. Who funds
yeah,
these things? And that's why I do it. A lot of people think I'm just like a conspiracy nut, but it's like I've been impacted significantly. So I'd rather learn about them and then eventually make lasting change rather than just saying, oh, I guess I'm just gonna I've got tumors all over my body. I guess I'm gonna die. No, I'd rather learn about them, figure out how to get healthy, feel healthy, which I do, and then go forward and
yeah,
help other people. Because being a victim or thinking of not taking ownership of everything, right? Like people think cancer or heart attacks, it's just, just bad luck. I don't believe in that. I think there are reasons behind all this stuff. And most people are just taught to think victim culture, or like bad luck, you got stage 4 cancer randomly. I don't think any of that shit's random. My family, I've a ton of people who've died early, gotten cancer, and I've seen it since I was a young age, had people fucking die. And I'm like, this is not normal shit. I thought it was normal growing up. And the older I get, the more I study this stuff, it's made to seem normal. So you're made to feel like a victim. And I think that's a terrible mindset.
yeah, for sure.
So either way, I'll finish that. Any other questions before I've been on a
No,
ranting
the
mood recently.
recovery one. No, that was good. That was some good stuff. I think that's all I have for now. The big two were the recovery and the I guess like the start of where you're at now compared to what you were coaching before. Because I knew you had a few endeavors that you had done with the strength coach, the firefighting, and but I never really knew what got you into the coaching sphere or the nutrition coaching sphere. So it
Yeah.
was good to yeah.
I mean, the first intro, like I was helping some guys for pro days back a few years ago because I was always a meal prep guy at UB. So I would always, I started out as a walk-on, so I didn't get free food. And I would just meal prep my own food. My family had a restaurant. I always grew up knowing how to cook. Since I was a young age, I was taught how to cook. And then my mom was sick, so I had to cook for my brothers. My dad was at work, so I meal prepped since I was in high school out of necessity. And then in college, it was kind of the same thing. I knew I had goals. I knew I was an undersized lineman who had to gain weight and get stronger, improve body comp. So I fucking watched all the bodybuilders and all the strong men and knew, read all the books, stand efforting, all that stuff I could find, all the bodybuilding.com stuff from Jay Cutler and Phil Heath and freaking Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall. I watched all these guys all the time and Dan Green and Dave Tate, and then was like, all right, gotta lose the weight and kind of tried a bunch of different things and different off seasons. I would try keto or different things too. When I think cleaning up as an O lineman in the off season is really important. So if you play at 300, maybe get to 285 and then slowly going back up, I think it's helpful for blood markers and just conditioning. But then I helped guys for pro days because I lost a bunch of weight initially. So I had some guys who were like, "Yo, you lost some weight. Do you want to just give me some advice for pro day? What should I eat?" Like, just not even like macros or calories, just like meals. Like, hey, I'm usually eating breakfast sandwiches and subs. Like, what should I? I'm trying to take this seriously for pro day. What should I eat? So I'd tell them, like have some eggs, egg whites, some spinach, some oats, some orange juice, like basic stuff. So I was helping them, and I saw the results, and like guys just got lean, and I was like, oh, this is sick. And then, got become a nutritionist, was a trainer, was a high school strength coach, was helping like kind of high quality athletes, and then firefighting. But I got back, and my buddy or former teammate and friend now, Dom Palizzi, texted me, and he's like, "Yo, I'm trying to lose weight. Uh, can you help me?" And then I made him just like a basic plan. That was my first time ever making somebody a plan on Google Drive, kind of what I do now. It was a very rudimentary version. Made him a plan. He started at like 295, and then he got down to whatever 240. And I was like, damn, like I was just doing it for helping him out, and he got fit and lean. And then kind of during that process, still recovering health wise from firefighting. And I loved firefighting. I was expecting to do that full time, and I still have a burning desire to eventually run that back. But um, I couldn't do it physically. I had a bunch of foot issues. I had needed some surgeries in my feet and other things, and thyroid stuff at the time was messed up. So
Yep.
I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm gonna help some guys lose weight. This is cool. And I hired a business coach in May of 25, and then fucking got an LLC and just started going from there. Yep.
It's cool.
So I always wanted to do it, man. I had the name of the Lyman the Lean Man. That was like a thing I had in like 2019 in my notes in my phone. Like I always knew I wanted to lose weight and help guys lose weight because there's so many guys who, you know, just it'd be good to just get healthy. That's what we always talked
Yeah.
about as linemen. I'm sure you guys did too. Like, oh man, I just want to fucking feel like good, like just be able to play
Hmm.
basketball or just enjoy life. That's all it was about. Nothing crazy. And it's turned into, I don't know, helping people of all different types now. So I'm gonna have to change the name. I feel like it's a bit restrictive. More than half my clients aren't former linemen, so we'll see. Maybe it'll
Yeah.
be a book title. But either way, Dylan, I appreciate you. Great questions
Yeah.
as always.
Of
I'll
course.
let you enjoy your dinner. And everyone, thanks for watching. Take ownership of your fucking life. And talk to you next time.